Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at another record in the style of Yeat. Going to be looking at a lot of different production techniques. So that being said, let's go and dive straight into this project. So I kind of already got a head start on this beat. The first thing that we're going to want to take a look at is obviously going to be the main melody, and this right here is a MIDI for it. It started out as a pluck that I think was in the style of Lotus by Lil Uzi. The most important thing to take a note of looking at the MIDI is we're kind of basing it around just like the same three chords, which is this chord here, and then it's this chord here. And really all that changes are like the bass notes and some little embellishments up here. This isn't the sound that I stuck with. This is what I used when I first wrote the melody. What I did was I changed the waveform to a saw wave, and I introduced a filter. It's a low pass filter, and the cutoff frequency follows the shape of this little graph right here. Obviously a totally different vibe from with this preset. The idea was there, the chord progression was there, but then you kind of have to dial it in. Another thing too is like I added in 6 voices to it. So before it was like only one voice and it sounded like this. It's like very mono and dead center, but when you add the, the rest of the voices, you get something a little more wide. Then I added some effects to this melody. So I decided to go a little old school and I opened up Effectrix. And I went back into this classic preset called Backwards Vocals. If you were making beats during like the prime Southside TM88 era, this was like a huge preset to put on your melodies, and maybe you'll recognize the sound. So I use like the master mix to kind of just blend in that reverse trippy sound effect. I also kind of messed around with halftime to see what it would sound like. But moving forward, I also ended up adding, you could consider it a counter melody if you will, but it's another staple of Yeat's sound, which is going to be that like tubular bell. But there's a few things that I do want to point out, specifically if you're going to be using this bell. So if you look at the piano roll here, so as you can see, like the interesting part is going to be over in this region. The idea is like the note is only going to play when you're holding down the key, and that gives this particular sample that feel that you get in the Yeat records, if that makes sense. But the way you get it to do this is in the envelope. You just turn everything down except for the sustain, and then just add a little bit of release so it's not too choppy. If you don't use the envelope, then the entire sample is going to play out, and it's not. I'll demonstrate. It doesn't give you that same choppy sound compared to the envelope here. It just makes more sense. It sounds better. But the next thing that I did here was I started adding the drums. All these sounds are from my personal drum kit from paulkits.com. We'll go ahead and start off with the hats here. One trick that I also do want to point out too for these hi-hats is I use Looperator. Looperator is a fire plugin for hi-hats. You can definitely get some really good tones. And I use 2 different instances because I wanted to use 2 different presets. And these are both presets that I like saved as my own. Just adds a little bit of like taste to the hi-hats. Yeah, so like this little thing right here, it sounds like a bark, and I think it adds a really nice slippery kind of feel to the hi-hats. The snare is another important aspect of this beat. And I'm also just gonna go ahead and bring the BPM up to like 138. I feel like that's going to be the sweet spot for this beat. And then I added a little counter snare on this section. And then my signature open hi-hat kind of thing. Lastly, before I forget, is the 808. And that's before even EQing. I haven't even EQ'd the melody. But I think I'm actually going to go up to 140 for this beat here. You know what, maybe we'll pitch it up 2 notes, or 2 semitones, or 1 full tone. Alright, let's go down 1 semitone. So I think the only thing left that I had to do for this record in specific is I wanted to mess around with the counter melody. So I think that's going to be the next step here. And honestly, after that, it's really just like arranging and mixing out the beat. I think that's pretty dope, honestly, so I'm going to stick with that. So if anything, I'm just going to like duplicate this out a few times and give it like a very simple arrangement here. This is a technique that I kind of picked up from TM88. You kind of tease the drums a little bit. So like you literally, before the beat fully drops, you kind of like, tease, you know, the drums by just adding in these little like beginning parts here. Pretty simple arrangement, so let's go ahead and take a listen. And that's honestly pretty much it. Again, I know that I didn't fully create the melody at the start of the video, but the most important parts of the melody were discussed. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. This is another video on discussing Yeat's production, or how to make beats that sound like Yeat's or whatever. If you need any of the drum sounds that you heard in this video, make sure to check out the Scab Sounds kit on paulkits.com. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like and a comment letting me know what you thought. But other than that, guys, it's pretty much going to be it for me today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.